Alright, so we're playing against Pennington, playing Winter Moon. One of the things that's really interesting about Hex is you get to make informed mulligan decisions. This hand is excellent here. You can see my opponent and I have different portraits here. These are not just cosmetic. We also have different starting life totals. I start with 23 life and my opponent starts with 21. And these champions give us different abilities based on how many resources we've played out each game. This Arcane Focus lets me look at the top 2 cards of my deck and grab one of my choice. Tribunal Magistrate is very good against the deck my opponent is likely playing, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. So Winter Moon is generally a more controlling champion. This for 2 charges, so basically every time they've played 2 resources, they get to take 2 cards from their discard pile and shuffle them into their deck. But not this game, because our hand is busted, yep. Alright, my opponent passed back to my turn. Hex is a full priority-based system as well, so you can respond to things that your opponent doing. It's not just, you know, your opponent plays things on their turns and you play things on your turns. Every time I play a card, it goes on the chain in the middle of the. How is this deck versus RDW? I think this deck's okay against the red deck. Primordial Sabertooth can give you some fits if they're main decking Sabertooth. It might be a little bit hard. Being on the play here is pretty good too, because I get to play my Tribunal Magistrate. My opponent's deck plays a lot of interrupts in it that counter my cards while they're on the chain. So getting in underneath their interrupts is pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and play this Tribunal Magistrate. So Tribunal Magistrate is a 0/5 that's very good against opposing control decks. What it does is, every time my opponent plays a non-resource card, this card creates 2 spider eggs and inserts them into my opponent's deck. And my opponent's deck has a lot of card selection and manipulation in it. So basically, every time they're manipulating their deck, they're getting eggs every time they're manipulating, they're getting eggs in their deck. And then when they draw one of those spider eggs, I get a 1/1 that's unblockable. Okay, so they had Transmogrifade, which turned my troop into a random worst troop here, so they got turned into a 2/1. Play control in a card game, right? So the Sapphire Diamond control deck is actually very good in this Hex format, but my opponent's playing a different control shell than that one. So I think I want to just jam this other Tribunal Magistrate here. Copycat is a card that's a very elegant example of how the Hex resource system works. So Copycat costs 0 resources to play out, but it requires that I've played 5 Sapphire resources in order to play it. So it doesn't actually cost me any resources to play, but it requires I've played a bunch of Sapphire Shards, basically. So they get to deny that. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and play this Copycat, and Copycat this Awaken Herald. So my opponent transformed my troop into something else, but Copycat reverts it back to its original state here. So it's going to turn back into the 0/5 that annoys my opponent. I'd bet even money someone in chat will send you copies of guidance. Right now. Probably for no money. If you're interested in getting into Hex, I have a how to play article here. And I have a list of budget Hex decks here that are cheap and competitive. So they're into the Unknownings. This is going to put this back in my hand and then turn it into a different card. Alright, sure. Says the G. Why not? Opponent missed their 4th resource drop. It's pretty good for us. I'm going to play this Empress of Ice out now while my opponent doesn't have any resources available to interrupt it. So Empress of Ice is a 2/4 with Flight that whenever I play a Sapphire resource, I get to exhaust one of their cards. And then as long as I have 5 or more Sapphire thresholds, their cards don't ready during their turn. So kind of a prison-esque card. Opponent still doesn't have anything to do. I'm going to go ahead and attack with this Empress of Ice. I guess there was an ace. Now there's a reason not to play it out, because I want to hold up Runebind for their deny. Correct, yeah, if you copycatted a Copycat, the other Copycat would turn into something. So you can see here, I'm playing a card, my opponent's responding to it, and then I'm responding to their card. going to put a non-resource on top of my deck. So Heart's Whisper draws 2 cards, and it kind of lets me stack my deck. So Fate Weave lets me choose resource or non-resource, and then I put that type of card on top of my deck. So I could guarantee draw a resource with this if I needed one, but my deck operates on a pretty low curve, so if I, like, hit 4 resources here and never draw another one, I won't be too upset about that. You need a treat? There's no treats, buddy. You don't need a treat at 9 a.m. in the morning. 10 a.m. in the morning, whatever time it is. So this made a little animation when it came into play. This has a prophecy called a mechanic called Prophecy. So this modifies the next action in my opponent's deck to draw a card when they play it. Another Runebind. That's decent. Go ahead and play Skittering Cultivator here, and then Warpsteel Shardsworn, I think. My opponent, their interrupts generally cost 3, and they only have 2 up here. You want some more? Put some more water in here. The critical turn for my opponent where I want to leave this Transmogrifade up is when they draw their 6th resource, because they have a card called Windsinger that's very powerful. Heart's Whisper is in our deck. I'm playing 4 copies of Heart's Whisper today. I want to try this out in the deck. Because Warpsteel Shardsworn is poop. So I don't want to play a bunch of them. But if I cut Warpsteel Shardsworns, I can't play... Oh, this lets them do this to my Empress, but I have another Empress, so I really don't care about that. Instead of Prowess, we don't play that many actions in this deck, Sesso, and the mill on this gets to screw with Fate Weave on occasion. So, like, your opponent keeps 1 Fate Weave shard on the draw, and you play Warpsteel on 2 and mill over the resource that they took for themselves. Good. So we're going to play this Empress out. And then this Empress is we're going to play the Sapphire Shard that we drew, which will let us exhaust this Pipit Hustler. Which means I get good, clean attacks in here. Because they don't have good blocks anymore. Let's try and apply some pressure to our opponent. I think the upside of screwing with their Fate Weave is kind of reasonable. This is a small mistake on my opponent's part. So one thing you always want to do is you want to block the Depth Crawler before the Warpsteel Shardsworn, especially when they both have the same gem, because my deck has Tribunal Magistrate in it, which cares about my Venom count. Well, I guess they ended the unknown by Tribunal Magistrates, right? So I guess that doesn't matter here. What's going on, Sarah? I've been streaming with this deck off and on for the last week. I think I'm between this and Redlings to play on Saturday. I want to play something kind of proactive in the first bash. There's the Windsinger that we said we care about. Thankfully, we have this Transmogrifade too. So this card's really obnoxious. It's a 4/6 for 6 that they get their resources back on my turn, and whenever I draw a card, they draw a card. So normally Transmogrifading 6 drops isn't a great idea. Oh, I should do this at their end of turn, because they get some powerful 5 drops. So this gives them an extra action every turn, but like that's much better for me than them having a Windsinger. Play the Syzygy out. Play this Heart's Whisper. Put a non-resource on top of my deck, so I'm guaranteed to draw at least 1 non-resource here. I'm going to hold this shard for now because my opponent could play a Troop out next turn. And if they play a Troop out, I want to be able to make a Sapphire Threshold for my Empress and exhaust it. This weekend is the first bash, Nerd. They posted the announcement on Friday. So posting an announcement about a tournament for Saturday on Friday seems like a bad idea. And we have this Runebind here, which basically delays one of my opponent's spells, so I think we probably have this game locked up here. Yep, they played a Windsinger here, so at their end of turn, I'm going to go ahead and Runebind this, so they don't get to get their resources back on my turn, and then I actually just have lethal in play. Just tempo them out of the game nicely here. I actually have this Commander P.R.O.M.P.T, which gives all my tapped creatures +2 power, so, like, we were going to kill them by a lot that turn, but we had them dead without the Commander P.R.O.M.P.T. Alright, post-board in this matchup. feels like a matchup where Tongue Breeder's decent. It's a more controlling deck. I want to diversify my threats a little bit, I think. I'm going to trim a Commander P.R.O.M.P.T. I want the extra Transmogrifades to interact with their... Windsingers. A couple of Verdict the Ancient Kings probably aren't terrible. I'm not sure if this is a Psychic Ascension matchup or not. It probably is. Commander P.R.O.M.P.T. feels like it's a little clunky. I kind of want more Verdicts, but I feel like I like all of the cards that I have here right now. The reserves on this configuration that I have now aren't really optimally tuned, so I don't have good numbers on everything just yet. This counters wild cards, right? Is this worth having in to counter Pipit Hustlers and... I'm going to try this, actually. One or two of these might be good. This counters Pipit Hustlers, and it counters Windsingers. And, like, Windsinger's the card that I care about more than anything else in their deck. It doesn't counter a ton of stuff, but it counters the cards I really care about. It smells like I need to change a diaper again. I'll be right back. I'm very quick at this. I'm kind of new to Hex. I'm just wondering at the metagame right now. So, HexPVPTools.com. You can see literally every match of Hex that's ever played, and it has some aggregate decks on there that are popular based on what people are playing on the ladder. So I think Fate Weave was one of my favorite mechanics in Hex. So these resources don't make a resource that I can use this turn, so think of them as like come into play tapped lands, but they let me Fate Weave when I play them, which means I got to choose to stack a non-resource on top of my deck, so I'm guaranteed to draw a non-resource next turn, which feels really good. Yeah, this deck does have some aggressive draws, so you can just, like, actually kill your opponent on the fourth turn of the game, which is fun. Alright, Tongue Breeder, sweet. So let's go ahead and play this Arcane Focus. I want to focus before I Fate Weave here. Another Runebind sounds excellent, sign me up. And then I'm going to play this Sapphire Ice and put a non-resource on top of my deck again. Opponent plays an Arcane Focus of their own. This is sweet. This means that they're not going to be able to counter my play next turn because they're not going to have 3 resources up. Yeah, we're just going to jam the Tongue Breeder into play. So this card, when it comes into play, it gives my opponent a 1/1 unblockable, but then this is a 1/4 that's like a personal Howling Mind. It lets me draw an extra card every turn. Yeah, copycatting Tongue Breeder is kind of excellent. So I've got 2 of these in the board, and I want to try them out. They seem great in these controlling matchups. This will be bad if my opponent has a Dark Heart on 4, but if they don't have a Dark Heart, we're going to be in a pretty good spot. Yeah, the artwork on this is just fucking gross. It's really gross. I'm not gonna zoom in on that card again. If you want to know what it does. Dingle. Okay. Oh, this is actually really funny. Because next turn I'm going to be able to copycat this and turn it back into a tongue breeder. And then they're not going to have a... I could just runebind it too. Runebinding means I recast it. So like I kind of want to hold these runebinds to interact with their counters. We don't have to see the art for... To be fair, this Dingler's not much better. He's like this pussy, pox-ridden mush, right? And they must have drawn this Dark Heart for the turn, right? Like, there's no way they Dingle me if they didn't just draw that Dark Heart. No, unlike clones in Magic that copy while the thing's on... It enters play as it. Copycat enters play and then copies it, so it doesn't get deploy effects. So looking for Transmogrifade to interact with this Dark Heart. Wait. Huh. Put a non-resource top of your deck. Am I just going to go Dark Heart here? Yeah, I am. So Copycat requires that I've played 5 Sapphires. But my champion power lets me make something ahead of time. So yeah, I'm just going to go... I'm just going to double Copycat their thing. And that's something that you want to remember with Copycat in this deck. Is that you can copycat their stuff. So their threats are our threats. And these are socketed, so Dark Heart makes each player sacrifice a non-socketed card every turn. So these have the sockets. And then actually, this is really funny. I can runebind their Dark Heart and then make them sacrifice it to my Dark Heart trigger. God, Hex is fucking great. I love this game. It's like, look at those lines. Yeah, I'm just taking 4. We're gonna runebind your shit next turn. Sign me up. So Runebind takes a card on the chain or in play and turns it into a mysterious rune, which kind of like delays it and sets it off to the side. They also just have Transmogrifade. Okay, now I'm just gonna Transmogrifade this, right? Because they're gonna get a non-socketed thing when I Transmogrifade. I'm just gonna pass the turn here because I don't want to attack into a Pippin. I guess I'm runebinding a Pippin, or I'm confounding Iring a Pippin Hustler anyways, right? Yeah, that's fine. Let's just attack with these. If they play Hustler, I'm gonna play Confounding Ire. Yep. So interrupt a wild card. I think these are okay in this matchup. Copycat, yeah. Little Copycat rap. So they get to block here for free. Because they're gonna have to sacrifice anyways, but they do take 4. Runebind is kind of like the best remand ever, Immortal. So the problem is, remand generates you... They both generate tempo, but they get that tempo back from Runebind immediately if you don't have a way to interact with the rune. So like now they're under the gun behind their own Dark Heart here. Yep, put 2 cards back into their deck. So I can't play out my own threats while I have these Dark Hearts, which, you know, is like, it's a little bit sad, but it's not the end of the world. As long as I have these Dark Hearts, I really don't need more threats. Play this Harsh Whisper out. Put a non-resource on top of my deck, because again, if we never draw to the resource, we won't be terribly sad about that. Attack for 8. You have another Pippin Hustler. I'm just going to Runebind this, because I'll have to sacrifice it on their turn to my Dark Heart. I have another Runebind here, just in case they have something else, so this keeps both my Dark Hearts, which keeps my threats in play. Like, they're under their gun to answer my stuff. These Heart Whispers seem really good. They seemed good on paper, and I'm liking them in practice. Obviously, we've only played 1 match here, but... this card seems like it's great. Lets me cheat on my resource count, too. I'm down to 22 shards in this build. If they jam a Windsinger here, we'll just Runebind it, and then they'll have to sacrifice the rune to these Dark Hearts. Yeah, we're definitely running a little bit good on not flooding, but like having less resources helps us not flood, which is nice. They could have like double Brown Fox Scout here. If they double Brown Fox Scout and try and double block, I think I'm okay with that. We're into the unknowning my Dark Heart. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. That's cute. I get to cycle it. It's possible I'm just supposed to be aggressive and Runebind that. Psychic Ascension? Yep. Yep. Alright. Well, this game is over. Make wild for my gem. That's hilarious. So this, I can pay 3 and cycle it to draw a card and get a threshold of my choice. And this has a customization for my opponent's deck where it gets Skyguard and Steadfast if I have wild. So let's cycle this and get wild. He's gonna get a little wild up in here. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. The wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. It was the only cycle resource. I love cycling resources. Utility shards are great. We did. I put Shard Prism in just everything. It was wonderful. Exactly what you wanted. Alright, put you to 1. I got double Runebind, so you're probably very dead. It's like two quality no buttons over here. And then if by some miracle they beat these 2 Runebinds, I have a Psychic Ascension. Oh, I did technically miss lethal, right? We could have... Too busy being cute, yep. Stop it. I could have played the prompt instead of cycling that. That's fine. That's fine. Super ahead in like 4 or 5 different ways there. Alright, thanks everyone for hanging out here today. Remember, if you're looking to get into Hex, the logo there up in the corner for hexprimal.com, think of them as kind of the MTGO traders or Star City Games of Hex. They buy and sell Hex TCG cards. Hex is a full buy, sell, trade secondary market, so it's not like most digital card games where they're just a giant money pit and they're trying to trap you. You can sell cards if you don't want them anymore or if you want to change decks, so you're not trapped if you get into Hex and decide it's not for you. You can sell back out, just like in Magic or any other game that's reasonable. The average cost of competitive Hex decks is somewhere between $50 and $150 depending on the season. I also have a list of... I am the best Hoagland on the ladder again. Christy didn't play yesterday, so I am now ahead of her on the ladder. My wife also plays Hex. It's so awesome that I can get uploading stuff to YouTube while I'm still streaming. This hand's borderline. I think I'm going to keep it. We need a 3rd resource. This might be a little bit medium on the play. There's a good chance I get punished for keeping this, right? What kind of burrito do you want from Chipotle? Jen. Sweet. Drew the 3rd resource like a professional. Probably play Tribunal Magistrate on 3, just like get that down. Opponent's playing Papa Goot, and they let on Wild on 1. Interesting. We actually have another Reanimator configuration that we think is pretty sweet, but it there's currently a bug with the crypt targeting that makes it's a Mistress of the Bones multi-race Reanimator deck that Klutz has been working on, but the way Mistress of the Bone works with double racial cards, you're kind of like playing click roulette as to whether or not you're getting back 2 different of the double racial cards, so we're waiting on a fix for that before we really stream with it and try and tune it more. So my opponent's champion starts at 17 life, and for 3 charges, it summons a constant that gains them a life every turn. Hallowed Radiance. Sure, and you saw my Tribunal Magistrate light up. Every time my opponent plays a card, they get 2 eggs in their deck. If we hit a resource here, we're just going to go Tribunal Magistrate, Champion, Power, Copycat, and just have a bunch of Tribunal Magistrates in play. If we don't hit it, we hit a resource. If we didn't hit a resource, Heart's Whisper would guarantee we hit one. Oh, and actually, I get to Consult the Talons now, too, here. Sweet. I haven't played that card yet today. So, Consult the Talons here. You can see it says it costs 7, but it has a mechanic called Mobilize, where for every instance of Mobilize, I can exhaust a troop I control to make this cost 2 less. So, I have 1 resource available here, but that's enough to cast this Consult the Talons if I exhaust 3 troops. Yeah, I agree, Holidays. That's why I didn't cut all of them. I think, like, 6 is kind of sweet. Like, drawing 2 of this card sucks when you don't have troops. Yeah, I like this deck a lot. It's kind of like an aggro control deck, basically. And it has some really aggressive combo draws, too. So, like, they played a card. You can see they have 57 cards in their deck here now. Every time they play a card, they get 6 eggs in their deck. I don't actually know, Sess. Actually, that's not on my list for tonight. When Christy gets home from work, we're going to do some testing together, because last season, I think Empress was favored against Redlings, but this season, Redlings has, what's the card I'm searching for to say? Redlings has, Primordial Sabertooth, which I think makes a difference. I think Primordial Sabertooth could make the matchup reasonable for Redlings. So this is a pretty free block here. Every time this card attacks, it gets +2 power. Yeah, I'm just going to Transmogrifade this, actually. Just turn it into a random something worse. Block here. So Transmogrifade turns with a troop I target into a random troop with -1 cost. Sorry, random troop constant or artifact. So generally it's a downgrade. They played a card, they got 6 more eggs in their deck. They played a card, they got 6 more eggs in their deck, so they're up to 68 cards now. Play this Heart's Whisper, guarantee we draw some non-resource here. Sweet. And again, we're 19 cards into my deck and I've only drawn 6 shards because Fate Weave is awesome. Oh, the mill is kind of a combo with spiders too, isn't it? And, okay, so Tribunal Magistrate, in addition to putting spiders in their deck, this card gives those spiders +1 power for each Venom I control. So I currently control 4 Venom, and 3 of them give that power up. So this thing has +4 power 3 times, so it is a 13-1 that's unblockable currently. So they are hero falling my Tribunal Magistrate. I'm going to go ahead and Runebind my Tribunal Magistrate to save it. And then next turn, I could actually use Heart's Whisper to guaranteed draw a resource to trigger Mysterious Rune and get my Tribunal Magistrate back. Opponent's up to 75 cards in their deck now. Trade here. Oh, look, we just drew the resource naturally. Yeah, Runebind's a super flexible card. It's kind of scary the amount of different things you can do with it. Looking for copycats here. Another Tribunal Magistrate's okay. Makes the spider scarier. Looking for Copycat still, though. Another Commander Prompt. Alright, let's play this. Let's play a Tribunal Magistrate. Which adds a fourth. Just casual 17, 1 unblockable. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Hit you for 17. Commander Prompt gives each of our readied troops +2 defense, and each of our exhausted troops +2 attack. So it's another card that kind of pumps up our squad. They made a Lava Shaper, which is... See if they have an Ardent Troop here. They got 8 more eggs in their deck, so they have 83 cards in their deck now. Kinda Nola Gold, so... Gladiator is based on whose turn it is. Commander Prompt is based on whether or not they're readied or not. So, like, if I leave them untapped, they always have the plus power, basically. Yeah, but they won't gain the defense on their turn, is to be fair. Declan Scott, get down. Damn it, I'm not sure what I want to board here. I'm not really 100% sure what their deck doing. Into the Unknown is probably good. Transmogrifade's probably okay. They have Tizozo. The Consult the Talons were okay there, but they're probably a little bit slow. I haven't been playing the Clash because I really don't like this limited format. So... You know, take that for what you will. I don't really like the limited format, so I haven't been playing the Clash. How did you finish that Lands League? We finished 3. We only played through the 3rd match, so I'm 3-0 in that league right now. We beat the Merfolk player.
Why are you saying bye to Dad? They think I'm taking them somewhere. You see them, Jeffrey? They both wanted me to pick them up.
They love their mom. Copycat's not bad. We need another resource here at some point. Remember, in addition to drawing resources, we could also draw Heart's Whispers that propel us up to that 4th resource as well. Since we already have 3. So every time this card readies, it makes 2 Dreadlings, so it's good with things like... And these are spiders, so like the Tribunal Magistrates we had last game make the Dreadlings bigger.
Seriously, boys? Jeffrey, you gotta do something about this basement.
I'm going to clean the basement today after I'm done streaming.
Okay, I'm getting in the shower.
Okay.
So they need to stay down here.
Yeah, that's fine. Just close the gate. Yep, that's fine. Okay, Into the Unknown can get my Skittering Cultivator back. I don't think I really care about that, though. Oh, and they Fate Weave last turn. So again, someone asked me why I have Milgem in this. They played a Fate Weave Shard last turn, so I milled over the resource that they Fate Weaved to the top. We're going to Transmogrifade that one because it's got Swift Strike. Shard. It's unfortunate. So we can't attack. And if we would have hit a resource there, we would have gotten to go Commander Prompt Copycat. Which would have been good. Silvertail Adjudicator's kind of great. It really did. So I'm going to Transmogrifade this, which actually changes this one too, because Spell Song Swedish changes as well. That's actually kind of bad for us. Alright. Shard, please. Alright. We hit that. Huh. Let's do this. Make another Sapphire so we can Copycat. We'll go Commander P.R.O.M.P.T, Copycat, Commander P.R.O.M.P.T, then attack for 10. Hopefully by the time Silver Talon Adjudicator rotates, Immortal will have a little bit more support. Attack you for 10. And this is why Warpsteel, there's still some Warpsteels in here, in addition to being good with Consult the Talons. Like, they're great with Commander P.R.O.M.P.T, right? Like, it's 2 bodies for P.R.O.M.P.T to power up. Violet's Crest. They got a lot of weird cards in their deck. For those that enjoy my content, I plan to do a 24-hour stream now that we have fiber internet on August 20. There's another Commander P.R.O.M.P.T. Yep. So now all of my exhausted troops get +6 power. We're just gonna crunch in for 18 here with these Commander P.R.O.M.P.s. Very promptly. So, Hex rotates their oldest 2 sets every other set release. So when set 8 releases somewhere 4 to 5 months from now, we'll have sets 3 and 4 rotate. If you're a new player getting into Hex that wants to invest in cards that are rotation proof, the 2 cards you want to avoid buying are Transmogrifade and Runir Hierophant. Those are the 2 really expensive staples. They're like $10 each, which aren't even that expensive if you're coming from Magic. But if you want to get the most mileage out of the investment that you're making into Hex, avoid Transmogrifade and avoid Runir Hierophant. That being said, both of those cards see Immortal play, so like when Immortal picks up more, they'll be worth something again. But those cards are great. Those are the cards that you'd want to avoid due to rotation. Yep. I think Runir's a little bit more than 10. It's like $12 or something like that. So we're going to play one more with the Empress deck here, and then we'll change things up to get a little variety in my diet. Honestly, that's one of the things that's really annoying about Magic Online. Like, that league with lands. Like, I have to play 2 more matches with lands now before I can play another deck. Like, I can't just, like, take a break and come back. Unless I have multiple decks. Correct, it's not even half a land. Yep, 4 copies, not even half a duel. Remember when Runir made Rhinos, right? It still makes Rhinos an Immortal. Playing against Bishop Elijah here. So Bishop Elijah is a 4-charge champion that starts with 21 health that says, put a troop with cost 2 or less from your crypt into your hand. Lets them rebuy things. Not particularly good against our deck, because our deck's not really killing their stuff. The golden age of Cosmic Dragons. Alright, picking up a 2-drop's pretty good here. I'm going to focus, looking for a little bit more action here. Huh. Both of those are good. I'm gonna grab the Consult because I like drawing cards, believe it or not. Consult could be anything, even a Copycat, exactly. You understand. Okay, so opponent's playing the Sapphire Diamond Sockets deck. Actually, I think taking the Consult is right here because my opponent's deck tends to be a little bit more on the aggressive. Just do the Copycat anyways. We really want to find a, we're looking for copies of Empress at this point so we can lock our opponent's board down. Yep, I agree. Without this Warpsteel, the Consult would not be pickable there. I'm not blocking here. They might not attack. Okay, so we're attacking with that one because they could champ power it back. That's fair. This deck did take a hit from losing the Dreadlink, and I drew a Skittering Cultivator. Do I have to discard if I play this? So if I play this, I go down to 6 cards. Down to 5. No, I won't have to discard. God, that's fucking great. So this is going to be one of our aggressive draws this game. So we get to do this, and then next turn we get to go Tribunal Magistrate, Copycat Tribunal Magistrate, and attack with 2 really massive Dreadlings. Well, that's unfortunate. They had a Transmogrifade, but that's fine. We still get to draw some cards here. Looking for an Empress still. Yeah, you're really a little bit more on the control side of the aggro control metric. If they don't have a follow-up here, that would be great for us. If they have Darkheart, we could be in trouble. That sucks. I guess I'm just copycatting their Darkheart, right? Am I? Could Heart's Whisper looking for a Transmogrifade? Let's lead on Heart's Whisper and see what we get. Okay, that's the thing. Grab a Sapphire here so I can play this Copycat out. That aren't in Sapphire Diamond control. Tribunal Magistrate's a couple bucks. Empress of Ice is probably... The Tribunal Magistrate, the Tribunal Magistrate... Copycat's less than $1. Tribunal Magistrate's a couple of bucks. Empress is a couple of bucks. And Commander P.R.O.M.P.T's a couple of bucks. So they have to sacrifice their Sentry, and then I'm going to get to Runebind their Darkheart and make them sacrifice that with my Darkheart. Yep. Huh. That's interesting. Maybe that's wrong, because this isn't going to be a Darkheart now. Huh. I'm going to trade here. So I'm playing, I think I'm playing Tribunal Magistrate Warpsteel here. It's kind of tough, right? Because, like, if I use this Sapphire Ice, I get to guaranteed pop this deck so I could Fate Weave a resource at the top, but I kind of don't want to Fate Weave a resource at the top of my deck either. They didn't get their Darkheart back just yet. That's good. Hopefully we'll get to get some... For fuck's sake. Oh, this means they're going to have to sacrifice this, though. Okay, I think I'm okay with that. I'm going to sacrifice by Rune, and then just put 2 more Tribunal Magistrates into play here, I think. Let's draw Transmogrifade, shall we? Yeah! Alright, so... We're going to... Ask me what it's like sometime, chat. We're going to wait. We're going to put a stop on my opponent's turn. And then, after my opponent sacrifices this one, because they're going to have to sacrifice this to their Darkheart, then before they draw for the turn, I will Transmogrifade their Darkheart. So they lose their Rune, then they lose their Darkheart. It also makes this bigger, too. What's this do? When it deals damage to an opponent, illuminate 1. Sure. God, Heart's Whisper is good. Copycat. Copycat, yeah. Copycat. Copycat, yeah. Alright, well, every time they play a thing, they're gonna get a bunch of spiders in their deck. So hopefully they draw some cards to play here, and their deck will just inflate up. Yep, deal. 53 cards in their deck. This makes their socketed things bigger, but they still aren't able to attack. And if I draw a spider, I have 6 venom here, and they get 6 4 times. So the spiders are currently going to have 25 power. I'm going to play this Empress of Ice out, so my opponent's cards won't ready anymore. Not that they're attacking yet, but this also lets me start pressuring them in the air, which is nice. Yeah, a single spider is lethal. And they probably Fate Weaved a non-resource to the top of their deck. Which, this is something good to know. If you Fate Weave a non-resource to the top of your deck, and there are spider eggs in your deck, spider eggs count as non-resources. Now there's 16 spider eggs in their deck. Yeah, right, Jin? The fact that you can't screw with resources in this game is so huge. Whoa, why are they doing that? Whoa, yeah, have 8 more eggs, man. You do you. You do you. You do you, friend. Yeah, sure, tap at 05, deal. Are we gonna attack me here? Are we getting aggressive? You only get to attack once, because Empress. Block, block. I think I'm just gonna chump these off here. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, those don't ready anymore. I guess one spider isn't lethal now, so maybe I shouldn't have blocked. I should have taken... Ah, it's still lethal. Got it. Get it, got it, good. After we win this game here, I'm gonna have to go check out the kids really quick. They're being quiet, which is rarely a good thing. Oh, I didn't block with that, did I? Yeah, I'm dumb. Ask me why I didn't block with it? Because I'm dumb. It was down here in a different row, so I didn't look at it. I could technically Runebind both of these and then get in with this. Maybe I'm supposed to have done that. Still has the draw to Spooter. Please Fate Weave a non-resource to the top of your deck. I'm not sure anything matters anymore, right? In the end, it doesn't even matter anymore. Alright, now I'm going to Runebind this one so I can attack with my Skittering Cultivator. Oh, I don't even have to. I can just champ power it. They do. Runebind makes them recast the card. And then this is going to make 2 giant Dreadlings next turn. Ooh. Hey, what if we didn't? You're dead anyways, but what if we didn't? What if I just said, no, you can't do that? Just for funsies. Runebind is so powerful and flexible. It's fantastic design. Oh, look, 21 power Dreadlings. Alright, I'm gonna focus, see if we can make them a little bit bigger here. Alright, the kids are being quiet, so I'm gonna sideboard here really quick and then go check and see what they're getting into. Warpsteel seems pretty poopy, which means Consult's probably not great. Maybe just like keeping one of each. It's probably fine. Let's bring in 2 Transmogrifades. I think that's good. Maybe Into the Unknown is good because of Darkheart. I think that's Daryl. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go make sure the kids aren't breaking anything. Yep, hand seems great. It's got a Transmog, it's got a Skittering Cultivator on 2, it's got a Heart's Whisper. A couple copies of Into the Unknown might be okay just because of how much we care about Darkheart. Tagging Animus isn't the worst either. I could see that being correct. I don't know, we'll see how this game plays out, and we might bring in some Into the Unknowns for Game 3. The Warpsteel and the second Consult might be suspect, and just like cut those for 2 Into the Unknowns. Right on time, Arcane Focus. Like, I brought in extra answers. I brought in more Transmogrifades. Like, we have Runebinds, too. That makes their stuff bigger. That's annoying. Oh, tapping that is an optional. That's funny. Ooh, they have Consult. Cute. Am I just Heart's Whispering here? I feel like I'm just Heart's Whispering here. Like looking for... Yeah, like if this was an Into the Unknown, I'd probably feel better about my hand. Maybe I bring it at least once. Warpsteel just feels like poop. Yep. To sacrifice this now. I guess if this was an Into the U, I'd feel good. Okay. Okay, sure. I have to discard here, but I got plenty of resources, so I think that's fine. Do I want to copycat this? I don't think I do. I wouldn't have to discard if I copycat it, but... DJ Nulzan. Cone, Burgle got you in chat there. Sorry, I missed that. It's gonna take 9 here. 11, sorry. I can count. Next ready to go X-Bog, Skitter. Yep, I agree, Ace. Yeah, I think the Into the Unknowns are right. I think I'm going to leave the one Consultant, but I'm going to bring in 2 Into the Unknowns. We're going to cut a Warpsteel Shardsworn. Maybe a Commander P.R.O.M.P.T, just to be a little bit more interactive on average. Kind of just getting beat down here. Oh. Maybe. I guess then this would eat whatever we transmog it into. No, it would just eat the Sentry, right? That's not even particularly that good. I think I'm just going Skitter, Transmog. Yeah, if we're going to, we should have done it last turn, I agree. But a stop on their turn, so again, they can sacrifice their Sentry of Nulzan before I transmog their Darkheart. Maybe. Looking for Empress is not unreasonable. Like, that's our way to get back in this game, right? I'm putting up a lot of blockers here, though, so I feel like I can take a hit for a turn. I guess they could tap some of my things here, would be bad for us. Oh, geez, that exhausts 2 things? We might be dead here. Oh, yeah, actually dead, because they have a Warpsteel in the bin. Alright. Yep, I went to the end of the unknowns. I'm gonna cut this Warpsteel, that's poop, and a Commander Prompt. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut one. Seems fine. Maybe Runebind isn't super fantastic, since they don't actually have counterspells in their deck, and I want to actually just get rid of their things. Maybe go to 3 Runebind, 3 into the unknown, especially on the play. This hand seems quite excellent. I'm going to be conservative here, which I know is odd for me, and I'm going to guarantee our 4th resource drop with the Sapphire Ice. Yeah, the Sapphire Diamond Socket deck is one that's popped up more recently. It's gained leverage because they got a new major gems. We got new gems with the 7th set, so we've got some new tools, basically. I think I'm going to wait a turn on this Empress so I could try and avoid Transmogrifade with it. Altar of Nulzan, sure. Yep, another Skittering Cultivator is great. It's going to be something to do with my resources for this turn. This says whenever they play a socketed card for the first time in the turn, they get to draw a card, which makes our Runebinds worse, too. So again, maybe one of these should be the 3rd into the unknown. I guess the Runebind kind of protects our Empress. The Ruby Wild Sockets deck was okay. I don't think it was tier 1, but it was competitive. Am I Runebinding this dork? Nah, it's probably fine. I can attack into it. Next turn I can go Empress Exhaust, Charge Power Exhaust. Crack him for 4 here. Yeah, I agree. In case they have like a, what's the word I'm searching for? In case they have like a Transmogrifade here, I can Runebind this to protect it. So, punished for having... Sure. Sure. That's just like actually in their deck, right? That wasn't generated? Alright, stack with my squad. You get to block one of them and take 3. And then we just need to hit a Commander P.R.O.M.P.T or a Tribunal Magistrate to, like, kill them very, very quickly. So both of these are going to generate 2 Dreadlings next turn, so Commander P.R.O.M.P.T would be plus, you know, like 20 power almost, practically lethal. I don't know that it's that strange. Like, they have a small number of really high impact cards, and we have a very minimal amount of interaction. I have no idea. I haven't played the Deathcry matchup a ton. There's Tribunal Magistrate. Okay, they might just be dead here. Yeah, I think they're just dead, right? So I play this and exhaust this Warpsteel Shardsworn. Yeah, sweet! The aggroiest of the aggro controls. Alright, sweet. Let's switch decks here.